By day, the world seems safe and peaceful. But when night falls, the darkness hides terrifying secrets. You'll never know if someone is watching lurking, or if unseen figures are standing right beside you. Today, I'll share with you 4 chilling true stories about being stalked, threatened, and narrowly escaping danger. Get ready, turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and join me as we step into the world of darkness. Story 1. The shadow following me on the deserted road. In August 2008, on a bright sunny morning in Windendo, North Carolina, I decided to take a walk alone to find some peace and quiet away from everyone. I packed a few essentials: water, cigarettes, a book, and some notepads ready for a relaxing afternoon outdoors. I walked down a small road that connected the public library to the nursing home, enjoying the fresh air and warm sunlight. But soon, I began to sense that something was off. A beat-up old sedan covered in dust started its engine with a loud roar and began following closely behind me. The car looked like it had been revived from a junkyard, with the engine growling eerily. The people inside kept shouting, hooting, and making taunting remarks that echoed through the otherwise peaceful space. I had become used to this kind of harassment since childhood, so I tried to ignore it and stay calm. But this time, it felt different. It wasn't just an annoying disturbance. The car started to follow me obsessively, like a predator stalking its prey. I quickly turned into a parking lot near an apartment complex leading down a narrow path to a small stream and flat stones. It was a spot I had often visited to relax, but now it felt like a trap. The sedan didn't stop. They backed up into the parking lot and continued their pursuit. My heart raced as I hurriedly walked, the sound of my footsteps echoing on the cold concrete. I rushed down the rugged path, the uneven terrain making it dangerous, but I knew it was the only place I could momentarily escape the chase. I slipped a few times, but struggled to keep my balance, each step a battle between fear and the will to survive. Just as I thought I had escaped, the car suddenly appeared at the top of the path, its engine still roaring like a relentless monster refusing to give up. I didn't run immediately. Instead, I stopped on a flat rock, trying to stay calm, telling myself this could just be a misunderstanding. I found a hiding spot in some bushes just out of sight of the car, close enough to a house where I could run to for help if needed. I had left my phone at home with my mom since she was fixing it, so I couldn't call anyone. I knew I was alone and vulnerable. Time seemed to stretch on endlessly. I smoked one cigarette after another, trying to keep my mind from spiraling into panic. The sound of the car's engine slowly faded away, then disappeared, but the fear still gripped me. I didn't dare leave my hiding place until a man mowing the lawn appeared nearby, shattering the eerie silence. Running out of the woods, I felt a temporary sense of safety, but the worry about the sedan and the people inside stayed with me, haunting every step I took. That night, I realized that safety is just a thin veil, and the darkness can consume everything. Story 2. The horrifying night at the bowling alley. When I was 15 and age still full of dreams and inexperience, I often went with my best friend Haley to the local bowling alley. It was a familiar place filled with laughter and bright lights, especially on nights with big tournaments like that one. One crowded Wednesday evening, the bowling alley was busier than usual, and we couldn't find an available lane, so we decided to head into the lounge at the back, a quiet corner that didn't get much traffic. Just a few minutes after we sat down, I noticed a strange man sitting at the bar. He didn't seem to be a regular and appeared out of place among the usual crowd. He was drinking beer, but his eyes were fixed on us, watching us in a way that made me uneasy. The man was in his early 20s, his face looking fairly ordinary, but his eyes and mannerisms sent a shiver down my spine. He turned, smiled coldly, and started a conversation. At first, the chat seemed normal, asking about our ages, cars. Haley, with her outgoing personality, cheerfully replied that she was 16, while I was only 15, and had a learner's permit. Things started to get strange when he offered to show us his new car out in the parking lot, even promising to let us take it for a spin. Everything took a darker turn when he joked that he would lock us in the car and wake us up after 8 hours in a place called Fable. The whole place fell silent. Not a single sound. He didn't laugh. His eyes remained fixed on us. A cold chill ran down my spine. I briefly thought of asking if we needed to submit a kidnapping consent form before being taken away, but Haley quickly pulled me away from there. We ran straight to my dad's table and told him everything. He and I went back to the lounge, but when we got there, the strange man was gone without a trace, leaving only an unfinished beer can on the bar. After that night, we never saw him again, but the memory of that eerie smile and cold words still haunts my mind to this day. Story 3. The mysterious shadow in the bedroom. This story happened about 3 years ago in Charlotte, North Carolina, a small town, but not lacking in eerie tales. Daphne, a high school student, often struggled to sleep on those cold winter nights. She remembered that even though she pulled the blanket tightly around herself, it would frequently slip down to her waist, waking her up and leaving her shivering with cold. One night, the same discomfort returned, but this time, it wasn't just the blanket slipping off. She felt something gently tugging at it, as if an invisible hand was silently pulling away the small safety her bedroom had provided. Her heart raced as she lay still, eyes shut tight, trying to convince herself that it was just a dream, just a hallucination. But then she opened her eyes and saw a shadowy figure standing at the foot of her bed, silently watching her. It was a strange man, his face blurry under the faint light, his eyes seemingly searching for something. Terrified, Daphne sprang up and screamed at the top of her lungs, running straight outside to call for her parents. The nightmare ended when the intruder escaped through the bedroom window, disappearing into the dark. The police later found several pieces of evidence that suggested the man had been stalking Daphne for several nights: beer cans, a machete hidden beneath her bed. No one could figure out how he had gotten into the house or what his true intentions were. Daphne was lucky to have escaped the danger, but the memory of that shadowy figure always lingers, a haunting reminder that safety in our homes can sometimes be nothing more than a thin veil. Story 4. The mysterious kidnapping case on the way to school. After the events of September 11th, 2001, America was filled with an unprecedented level of vigilance and fear. Especially in the South, where I grew up in North Carolina, everyone seemed to be suspicious of anyone who looked different. Large military bases and American flags were everywhere, creating an atmosphere that was both secure and oppressive. I was just 8 years old at the time, walking to school every day with my older brother on our familiar route. Usually we took the safest paths, but that week we decided to try different routes, partly for a change, partly to avoid the crowds. One afternoon, while we were on our way home, a shiny black SUV with dark-tinted windows and a massive American flag covering almost the entire rear window slowly stopped right in front of us. The driver was a middle-aged woman wearing large sunglasses that covered most of her face. She spoke up. "Hey, this road is not safe for you kids to be walking on." My brother politely replied, "We walk home every day. It's not far." She wasn't satisfied, rolled down her window and yelled, "You little brats, you just spat on my car. Get in the car right now, we're going to your parents to apologize." We firmly refused and ran toward a nearby forest. The sound of the car door opening and slamming shut echoed behind us like an ominous warning. We kept running, weaving between paths that cut through the forest and streets until we finally made it home. At first, we thought it was just a strange incident. It wasn't until 15 years later when I told this story to a friend that they looked at me wide-eyed and said, "Do you know that could have been a kidnapping or human trafficking attempt?" At the time, I didn't know much about the cruel crimes lurking beneath the surface of society. Had we gotten into that SUV, no one might have ever seen us again. That story serves as a valuable reminder for anyone. Vigilance and survival instincts can save your life. These stories are not just personal experiences, but also a warning about the dangers that lurk even in the seemingly safest moments. If you've ever gone through something similar, or know someone who is, feel free to share your story with me in the comments below. Always stay vigilant, protect yourself and your loved ones. Thank you for joining me through these dark tales, and remember to lock your doors tight when night falls.